Are there times when a star is so big that they literally just do what they want?
You can't let that happen. You've got to be assertive and make your point quickly so they can make it back.
Ridley Scott, a legendary director known for his professionalism and discretion. Behind the scenes of his iconic films lies a world of intense creative battles that he rarely discusses publicly. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on 6 renowned actors who pushed Scott to his limits. Through carefully pieced together interviews, production documentaries, and insider reports, we revealed the explosive on-set tensions that most people never knew existed. These aren't just stories of conflict, but glimpses into the raw, unfiltered world of filmmaking's most passionate artists. The production of Legend in 1985 was a powder keg of creative tension between a young Tom Cruise and the meticulous Ridley Scott. At the time, Cruise was a rising star with limited dramatic range, while Scott was a visionary director known for his perfectionism. Scott's primary frustration centered on Cruise's acting abilities. Insider reports suggest Scott privately believed Cruise lacked the depth required for the complex fantasy role of Jack. In a bold and controversial move, Scott reportedly suggested Cruise work with an acting coach to refine his performance. This recommendation was a devastating blow to Cruise's young ego. Cruise, feeling publicly humiliated, vehemently rejected the suggestion. The actor's pride was wounded, creating an immediate and palpable tension on set. Scott's direct critique transformed their working relationship from collaborative to confrontational. The situation was further complicated by constant studio interference. Universal Pictures continuously second-guessed Scott's artistic vision, adding layers of stress to an already fraught production. Cruise found himself caught between Scott's demanding directorial style and the studio's commercial pressures. Visually stunning, but narratively challenging, the film became a battleground of artistic compromises. Scott's meticulous world-building clashed with Cruise's limited understanding of the character's nuanced requirements. Each take became a potential minefield of creative disagreement. Rumored on-set arguments became legendary. Scott would allegedly do multiple takes, pushing Cruise to explore deeper emotional territories, while Cruise struggled to meet the director's exacting standards. The young actor's method felt superficial to Scott, who was used to working with more seasoned performers. The soundtrack controversy further escalated tensions. Scott's original vision with Jerry Goldsmith was replaced by Tangerine Dream's synthesizer score, a decision that reportedly infuriated both the director and Cruise. When the film was released, it was a commercial disaster. The failure only intensified the underlying professional resentment. Cruise and Scott rarely discussed the production in later years, a telling sign of the deep-seated friction. Legend became a cautionary tale of mismatched artistic visions, a young actor's ego, a director's uncompromising standards, and a studio's commercial anxieties colliding in a perfect storm of cinematic tension. The love-hate relationship between Russell Crowe and Ridley Scott is a legendary Hollywood tale of creative tension and mutual respect, primarily centered around their work on Gladiator in 2000. Their collaboration was marked by explosive interactions that became almost as famous as the film itself. During the production of Gladiator, Crowe was at the height of his method acting approach, intense, unpredictable, and fiercely committed to his character. Scott, a meticulous director known for his visual storytelling, found Crowe both challenging and brilliant. Reports suggest Crowe would frequently challenge script decisions, costume choices, and directorial instructions, often leading to heated arguments on set. One notorious incident involved Crowe throwing a phone at a production assistant, showcasing his volatile temperament. Despite, or perhaps because of, these tensions, their creative chemistry produced an extraordinary film. Gladiator won multiple Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Actor for Crowe. Their relationship continued through subsequent collaborations like A Good Year and Body of Lies, maintaining a complex dynamic of mutual professional respect mixed with personal friction. Scott has repeatedly described Crowe as moody, but also acknowledged his exceptional talent. Interviews reveal that their conflicts were rarely personal, but rather stemmed from passionate artistic differences. Crowe's commitment to authenticity often clashed with Scott's broader cinematic vision, creating a combustible but ultimately productive working relationship. Industry insiders suggest that their tension was a form of creative dialogue, Crowe pushing boundaries, Scott maintaining artistic control. Their collaboration became a prime example of how creative conflict can produce remarkable cinema. Despite the drama, both have spoken positively about each other's professional capabilities, with Scott calling Crowe one of the greatest actors of his generation, and Crowe respecting Scott's visionary directing style. The collaboration between Nicolas Cage and Ridley Scott on Matchstick Men in 2003 was a fascinating study in contrasting artistic approaches, where Cage's notoriously eccentric method acting collided with Scott's precise directorial vision. Cage, known for his extreme character transformations, approached the role of Roy Waller, a con man with severe obsessive-compulsive disorder, with his trademark intensity.
Obviously, I have a lot of tics.
His preparation involved extensive research into psychological disorders, developing intricate physical tics and behavioral patterns that went far beyond the script's requirements. Scott, a director who values controlled performance, found himself simultaneously impressed and frustrated by Cage's approach. Sources close to the production reveal that Cage would often improvise entire scenes, introducing unexpected mannerisms and dialogue that dramatically deviated from the original screenplay. This created constant tension during filming. The psychological complexity of Roy Waller became a battleground of creative interpretation. Cage wanted to explore the character's mental health with near-clinical precision, while Scott sought a more narratively streamlined performance. Multiple takes would involve Cage introducing subtle variations in his character's behavior, forcing Scott to repeatedly adjust his directorial approach. Cage's method went beyond typical acting. He would remain in character between takes, creating an uncomfortable atmosphere on set. Scott, used to maintaining strict professional boundaries, found this approach both fascinating and potentially disruptive to the overall production flow. Their conflict was not antagonistic, but creatively charged. Scott recognized Cage's unique talent, while simultaneously trying to maintain the film's narrative integrity. Cage, in turn, respected Scott's ability to capture complex emotional landscapes on film. Interestingly, their conflicting approaches produced a critically acclaimed performance. Cage received significant praise for his portrayal, with many critics noting the nuanced interpretation of mental health that emerged from their collaborative tension. The film became a testament to how creative friction can produce extraordinary cinematic moments. Scott's disciplined direction combined with Cage's unpredictable performance created a unique character study that transcended typical genre expectations. Years later, both have spoken respectfully about their collaboration, acknowledging the productive nature of their creative disagreements. The production of 2005's Kingdom of Heaven revealed a complex and often contentious relationship between Orlando Bloom and Ridley Scott, transforming the historical epic into a behind-the-scenes drama of its own. Bloom, still riding the wave of his Lord of the Rings success, was cast as Balian de Ibelin, a crucial role in Scott's ambitious medieval narrative. However, the actor quickly found himself struggling to meet Scott's exacting standards. Sources close to the production suggest that Scott was consistently disappointed with Bloom's performance, finding him lacking the gravitas required for the historical character. The tension was multifaceted. Scott, known for his meticulous approach to historical accuracy and character depth, believed Bloom was delivering a superficial portrayal. Bloom, still developing as a dramatic actor, found himself constantly challenged and critiqued by the demanding director. Crew members reported numerous instances where Scott would stop filming, visibly frustrated, and provide extensive, sometimes harsh, directorial notes. Bloom's physicality and emotional range became a particular point of contention. Scott wanted a more nuanced, internally conflicted character, while Bloom struggled to internalize the complex emotional landscape of a medieval knight. Multiple takes became the norm, with Scott pushing Bloom far beyond his comfort zone. The film's massive production scale added additional pressure. Shot on location in Morocco and Spain, the challenging environment amplified the on-set tensions. Bloom reportedly felt overwhelmed by Scott's intense directorial style, while Scott grew increasingly impatient with what he perceived as the actor's limitations. Interestingly, despite the conflicts, Scott saw potential in Bloom. He continued to work with him, believing in the actor's ability to improve. The director's approach was less about personal attack and more about extracting the best possible performance. The extended director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven somewhat vindicated their collaboration, presenting a more nuanced version of the story that highlighted Bloom's performance. Years later, both have spoken diplomatically about the experience, with Scott acknowledging the film's challenges and Bloom recognizing the growth the production demanded of him. Their collaboration remained a complex dance of artistic tension, mutual respect, and professional challenge. The collaboration between Christian Bale and Ridley Scott on 2014's Exodus: Gods and Kings was a powder keg of creative tension. marked by fundamental disagreements about historical representation and character interpretation. Bale, known for his intense method acting and deep character research, approached the role of Moses with his trademark commitment. However, this approach immediately clashed with Scott's vision of the biblical narrative. Sources close to the production reveal that Bale wanted a more nuanced, psychologically complex portrayal of Moses, while Scott sought a more straightforward, epic narrative. Their conflicts centered on multiple aspects of the character. Bale argued for a more humanistic interpretation of Moses, suggesting he might have been experiencing psychological episodes or potential mental health challenges that could explain his spiritual experiences. Scott, preferring a more traditional heroic narrative, found these suggestions problematic and potentially disrespectful to the source material. On-set tensions escalated quickly. Bale would reportedly challenge Scott's directorial choices multiple times per day, demanding extensive discussions about motivation and historical accuracy. Scott, a director used to maintaining strict control, found Bale's persistent questioning frustrating and potentially undermining his authority. The production became a psychological chess match. Bale's method of total character immersion, including extensive personal research and demanding multiple script revisions, tested Scott's patience. Crew members reported uncomfortable moments where their discussions would become heated, with both men passionately defending their respective visions. Scott was particularly irritated by Bale's insistence on historical authenticity, feeling that the actor was overstepping his role. Bale, conversely, believed his deep dive into the character was essential to creating a meaningful performance. Their conflict extended beyond mere artistic differences. It became a battle of two strong-willed professionals, each convinced of the righteousness of their approach. The film's mixed critical reception seemed to validate the underlying tension of its production. Interestingly, both Bale and Scott maintained professional respect for each other, acknowledging the passion behind their disagreements. However, Exodus remained a testament to their challenging collaborative dynamic. The collaboration on 2023's historical epic Napoleon quickly became a legendary example of artistic tension between Ridley Scott and Joaquin Phoenix, two uncompromising artists with equally intense creative visions. Phoenix, renowned for his method acting and deep character immersion, approached the role of Napoleon Bonaparte with his trademark psychological intensity. However, this approach immediately created friction with Scott's more structured historical narrative approach. Sources close to the production describe their interactions as a constant intellectual and creative battle. Scott, meticulous in his historical research, wanted a more traditional epic portrayal. Phoenix, conversely, was determined to explore Napoleon's psychological complexity, his potential mental health issues, emotional vulnerabilities, and internal contradictions. This fundamental difference in interpretation became the primary source of on-set tension. Reported conflicts centered on character motivation and performance style. Phoenix would allegedly challenge every historical detail, demanding multiple script revisions and extensive discussions about Napoleon's psychological state. Scott, a director used to maintaining strict creative control, found these constant interruptions frustrating and potentially undermining his vision. Crew members described tense moments where their discussions would escalate into passionate arguments. Phoenix's method of total character deconstruction, including extensive personal research and unconventional acting choices, tested Scott's patience. The director was reportedly irritated by what he perceived as Phoenix's tendency to overcomplicate the character. Their conflict extended beyond mere artistic differences. It became a battle of two strong-willed professionals, each convinced of the righteousness of their approach. Phoenix wanted to deconstruct the historical myth of Napoleon, while Scott sought to create a more traditional epic narrative. The production became a psychological chess match. Phoenix's intense preparation, including dramatic weight fluctuations and extensive historical research, created additional challenges for the production team. Despite the tensions, both maintained a fundamental respect for each other's artistic capabilities. The film became a testament to their complex collaborative dynamic, a fusion of Scott's visual mastery and Phoenix's psychological depth. What we've explored today isn't a collection of Hollywood horror stories, but a testament to the complex nature of creative collaboration. Each of these conflicts between Ridley Scott and his actors wasn't about ego, but about passion. These were battles fought by artists deeply committed to their craft, directors and actors alike, each fighting for their vision of storytelling. Creative friction isn't always destructive. Sometimes it's the crucible where extraordinary art is forged. Scott and these actors, Russell Crowe, Tom Cruise, Christian Bale, and others, demonstrated that true creativity isn't about agreement, but about the relentless pursuit of something greater than oneself. Their tensions produced films that challenged, moved, and transformed audiences. In the end, these stories remind us that behind every great film is a complex human drama, one of vision, struggle, and ultimately, shared artistic commitment.